All right, thank you all for joining us this evening. This is the February 2024 meeting of ANC3C. We will get started with the establishment of a quorum. I'm Janelle Pagetts, the Commissioner for 3C03, and also the chair of this. 3C04, are you here?
Present.
3C05.
Here.
3C06.
Here.
3C07.
I'm here.
3C08.
Here.
3C01.
I'm here.
3C02.
Present.
All right, that's the quorum. All of the commissioners are present. I will verify that this meeting was properly noticed through the listservs, the main streets, the community associations, the ANC3C notice list, which you can sign up to get emails directly from us, our Twitter account, and the ANC3C website 1 week prior to this date. We will now move on to the approval of the agenda and the consent calendar. Does anyone first have any changes to the consent calendar?
Yes, I do, Chair Pagetts. I had submitted the resolution on 3408 Rodman Street, which I will be offering instead in regular business. One member of the public who is a resident near to the project wishes to speak, and I understand we'll also hear from the applicant.
Okay. That's fair. That's enough. We don't need that much of an explanation. Thank you, though. And then anybody else have anything off of the consent calendar they would like to move? Seeing or hearing none. Commissioner Gordon, did you have something that you wanted to add to the treasurer's report regarding not to exceed expense? Possibly?
I was trying to get that together before this, but I don't have a specific number or person for you on that. So I may have to keep moving.
Let's add it to, if this is okay with you, let's add it after the treasurer's report for discussion and possible vote. This is for a potential not to exceed expense amount for the ANC's participation in an event in the community. So we'll further discuss it when it comes up on the agenda. So I'm moving that to after the treasurer's report. I move, Rick, Commissioner Nash, your resolution and discussion about the concept approval to after our discussion and potential vote on the Secure DC Omnibus Amendment Act.
Thank you.
Okay, cool. Anybody else, any additional changes to the consent calendar, which I'm going to read right now? Currently, as amended, the consent calendar includes the approval of the January 2024 meeting minutes, a letter regarding BZA appeal number 21082, the Wardman Park, a letter regarding ANC3C response to the Office of Advisory Neighborhood Commission OANC strategic plan, a resolution in support of 3609 35th Street Northwest BZA application 21072 to construct a rear deck addition to an existing attached 3-story principal dwelling unit in the R2 zone, a letter to DDOT requesting updated plans for Connecticut Avenue multimodal safety improvement project that were funded for fiscal year 24, a resolution in support of a sustainable budget for WMATA, and an amendment to 3C rules regarding the removal of non-commissioners as committee chairs, highlighted on page 4 of the document. So if we approve the agenda and the consent, everything on the consent calendar would then be approved and not further discussed at this meeting. So with that, all those in favor of approving the agenda and the consent calendar, raise your hand or say aye. All right, I see all the commissioners' hands are up. So therefore the agenda and the consent calendar and all the items within are approved. Thank you. Moving on to our next item, which is announcements. We'll start with single member district reports. Anyone want to start with a single member district report? Commissioner Gordon?
Well, I feel like it's just like a fun one, but I just want to remind everybody that Fresh Baguette is opening tomorrow morning, bright and early, 7 a.m. is the opening time. So I know I'll be there. I hope you all come up, whether it's at 7 a.m. or later. But they're doing like a whole thing where like the first 20 people in line win a year of croissants. So I think it'll be an early crowd. But I'm super excited about that. And all the neighbors are abuzz. So just wanted to make sure everybody knew about it. Thanks.
Great. Thank you. Commissioner Siddiqui.
You stole my thunder, Commissioner Gordon.
Oh my
I was
God,
gonna
I'm so
be
sorry.
No worries, no worries. I do have to say though, I feel like this side of Connecticut Avenue now has the best breakfast sandwiches. So,
Dude, you do. You're winning
we're winning.
breakfast.
Yes, yes. But thank you for that. I'm glad you mentioned that. And the only thing I'll add is if you're not first 20 in line, like I won't be. So Commissioner Gordon, thank you for representing us in the morning. I cannot get myself up that early. But if you go there tomorrow anyways, if you buy anything in the store, everyone gets a free baguette with a purchase as well on Wednesday. So if you're like me and can't wake up in the morning, just go later and get your free baguette and then try other stuff out. The only other thing I will mention also in my SMD is that there's alley work that's going to be started behind 3600 Connecticut Avenue Northwest. If you would like details on that, please let me know. But there's going to be alley work starting this week, and it should hopefully be completed within this week, weather permitting. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Commissioner Nash.
Sure, just a brief announcement. There were some messages on the Cleveland Park listserv today about a problem on 34th Street at Newark, where there is a catch basin, I think on the northwest side, where metal rods are flashing around the cache basin have come loose, and people taking the corner a little bit sharply are getting flat tires. So I'm reaching out to DDOT to try to address this. But in the meantime, anyone taking the corner, take it slowly, and someone has put up an orange cone because nobody wants to get a flat tire from this catch basin that seems to be falling apart a bit.
Great. Thank you. Anyone else have an SMD report this month? Otherwise, I will go with mine. So for 3C03, I did the walk with MPD and the PSA around this area of Woodley Park last Thursday evening at 6 p.m. It wasn't too cold. It was quite lovely. And they let us know. So we walked around this area of Connecticut Avenue from about 3100 down a little bit past Cathedral and then back up around Cathedral and kind of around the back around Devonshire and stuff. So we got a pretty good feel of this particular area. So they let us know that they do have a suspect in the Woodley Road, the 54 cars that were broken into. They will make an announcement when they make an arrest on that, but they let us know they're close. They also said that the camera footage that was picked up from a number of the multifamily buildings around there was really helpful. So again, I will tout the security camera rebate program, especially with the multifamily buildings, because we're getting more points of video coverage on those. And that's just really helpful when these things happen in the community, and the detectives can go out and pull that footage along with footage from Teslas. So interesting. They also mentioned that the foot patrols in Woodley Park and Cleveland Park business districts, which I've heard positive things about, they're funded till March and hopefully longer. So hopefully that continues. I also in the walk brought up the intersection of Cathedral and Connecticut, which is #1 in the District of Columbia in the year of 2023 of pedestrian crashes in the entire district. Cathedral in Connecticut. So that is, and Councilmember Fruman was also on this walk with us. And I brought this up during my testimony at the DDOT oversight. hearing a few weeks ago too, because I've tried, neighbors, all of us have tried to get this intersection improved, because it's been a major safety concern. It's right by the zoo. It's missing a crosswalk across Connecticut. It's only a 3-point crosswalk, so you have to and some people might not do that, and that might be contributing to the danger of it. But we've been consistently told that because Concept C would solve all of the problems, we need to wait on that. And it's kind of frustrating to keep being told, like, and everybody knows it's a dangerous intersection, but we need to wait for this other thing that we haven't heard any updates on to, like, before we do anything. So the council member's aware, DDOT is aware. So I'm hoping that progress is made and that doesn't remain number one for pedestrian crashes. So sorry for my long update, but a lot of action. All right. Anybody else have any other single member district reports? All right, hearing and seeing none. We'll move on to committee reports and start with safe, sustainable, and equitable transportation.
So our committee met this past Wednesday, and as a result of that, Commissioner Kirkby, thank you for leading the effort on the WMATA refunding bill. And we also talked about an open bus stroller program as well. And so hopefully we'll be voting on that at our next meeting. Also, thank you, Commissioner Nash, for bringing up DDOT's response to 34th Street Northwest. So we'll hopefully follow up on that as well. So it looks like we will be having a March meeting as well, that second Wednesday in March.
Thank you. Transparency and public process.
We too had a meeting in February for the first time in a year, where we did the amendment to our rules and also a letter to OANC on their strategic plan. And I would just like to thank again Commissioners Paget, Siddiqui, and Nash for their assistance on that letter.
Great, thank you. Community engagement and grants.
We had no report. We didn't meet this last month, but we'll receive a grant application, and so we will schedule a meeting for this month in anticipation of next month's.
Oh, you're talking at the end of February, so next week?
Let's. I guess that's right. Yeah, this month. That's right. So we need to. Let's see, how does that work? Let me work on scheduling on that.
Okay, cool. And so our committee meetings aren't under the same notice rules as our public meeting is. Just so you're aware, we want to be courteous and send out as much notice as possible, which is why we try to do those in the 7 days, but they're usually posted on our website also well in advance as a holding spot. So just so everyone's aware of that.
Yeah, thanks for that.
No problem.
Thanks for that. And I'll work this.
Okay, great. Thank you. Planning, zoning, housing, and economic development, Commissioner Gordon and I.
Yeah. I mean, we had a really great meeting with Kim Baca from DDOT, who showed us the plans for how the sidewalk and the restaurant patios would work together on the promenade. And so I think there were tons of questions, but I feel like the two things really kind of came out of that meeting for me. One, everyone hates the bollards and we're working on it. And the second piece of that is that the restaurants can go ahead and start submitting their patio permits. And I know Cassandra at Cleveland Park Main Street has offered to help them do that. So if you hear anybody asking about that, there is help if they want help with their permits, but those are ready to submit. And moving along, even though people have some, questions on maybe on the design, it seems to be moving forward.
Yeah, and the restaurants and anyone who wants to apply for a sidewalk cafe does not need to go through Cleveland Park Main Streets. They can go directly to Kim at DDOT.
Yeah, either way.
She's one that knows what she's doing on that. I just don't want it to be watered down. or held up any longer than it already has been. And then the other thing, I apologize to Commissioner Gordon for not updating her on this offline before doing it right now, is we also had a walkthrough last, whatever Valentine's Day was, Wednesday, where we actually walked the whole promenade with Kim Baca from DDOT, with Matthew Marcoux, who's DDOT's chief of staff, with Councilmember Fruman, with the Deputy Director of Operations and Infrastructure, with Cassandra, and a few other of the commissioners turned up too. So we pointed out that the bollards are our chief complaint here. It is apparently only, Christian from DDOT was there as well. It is $68,000 to remove the bollards. So if that's something that's in the realm of possibility, it doesn't seem like it's really a budget issue. It's more of a design issue if they ever wanted to open the space back up to motor vehicles again. However, they seem to be getting in the way, right? Everybody agreed it's not optimal. We were out there with tape measures. Councilmember Fruman is really good at doing multiplication in his head regarding areas and stuff. So hopefully, we'll come up with a satisfactory solution to everyone's various needs and wants. And it was good to actually walk this space with the folks having the conversations about this space. And really is something that should be a pillar to every project when we're talking about how to best use our very limited public space that isn't occupied by motor vehicle. So
thank you. Yes, that's exciting.
Yeah. And then the other part of our meeting was covering the Rodman appeal that we just voted on, the resolution. That's a first step in a resolution that we were advised by OANC to make sure that we're going to assert our party status as the ANC is a party automatically to any BCA appeal, and also ask for any kind of possible verification that the other parties have standing, and not to stop work on the project while this is going through the appeal process. So that's what the letter that was approved on consent said, and that's what we discussed in the Planning, Zoning, Housing, and Economic Development Committee meeting, along with an update from Carmel. So that covers that committee's report. And then Commissioner Gordon, do we have anything for next month, or we want to keep that tentative and see what?
Yeah, let's keep it tentative. I don't know of anything right now, but I'll check in with Gina at Buffalo and Bergen and see how that's going.
Okay, great. And that our Planning, Zoning, Housing, and Economic Development Committee meetings are held on the first Monday of every month at 6:30. So there's that. Moving on. Residential historic preservation.
Sure. There's going to be a meeting again the first Monday of the next month. I'm aware of at least one application, which is a residential renovation and expansion in the 3500 block of Ordway Street. And then there's another application that I think will be referred to Planning and Zoning. The Cleveland Park Congregational Church wants to renovate its steps and add an accessible ramp. And so they will be coming forward to present on that.
Great, thank you. And that's the first Monday of every month, starting at 7:30. So following our Planning, Zoning, Housing, and Economic Development Committee meeting. Environmental justice.
Yes, we had our February meeting last Tuesday. It was a very interesting discussion about Rock Creek. I'd like to thank Commissioner Kripke again for reaching out to the speakers who came. We had DC Water present about the Piney Branch storage project, which is a multi-year underground project that would divert polluted stormwater from going into Rock Creek. It's not in our commission, but it borders up against the part of Rock Creek Park that is in our commission. And we had the Rock Creek Conservancy also give a little background on why the creek is so polluted to start with. Our next meeting will be on Tuesday, March 12th at 6:30. We have invited students from the School Without Walls who are advocating for a Green New Deal for schools to come and speak with us. I'm putting a link in the chat to an article in the Washington Informer. The post article we saw might be paywalled, so there's some background for those who are interested, and we'll announce those details in due course. Thank you.
Great, thank you. All right, and finally, public safety.
I'll just say a couple things, and then Co-Chair Prinzo may wish to add. First of all, the Public Safety Committee met this month. We spent the first part of the meeting hearing from MPD, and I would just note to the community, every month we get a report, an update from MPD, and it's really a great opportunity not only to know what is going on in the PSA, in the PSAs, that is police service areas that comprise our ANC, to hear about recent crime statistics and investigations. But at this last committee meeting, we heard from Lieutenant James Vandermeer, who recently was assigned, and it just is a very good discussion of some of the practical challenges and other community policing issues from his perspective. So I'd encourage community members to attend these meetings, because it's a good chance to hear from MPD every month. Second item was we considered a letter which Commissioner Prinzo has taken the laboring oar on, that we will be discussing later in this meeting, in general support of the Secure DC Omnibus Act, and received comments from commissioners as well as appointed members of the Public Safety Committee.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Prinzo, did you have anything to add?
No, I did not.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, moving on to mayor, council, agency, and community organizations. So starting with the mayor, and Matthew, you're not going to go through the mayor's budget rollout schedule, right?
I totally am.
Okay, but ever so, can you just post the link and we'll share the link, please? And
I'll
just
post the link.
thank you.
Y'all love me, you know you do. Hold on, let me pause this other ANC meeting real quick so you don't get that.
Yeah, we're doing it all at the same night. Well done.
Yeah, there's
you
three
in three
ANC meetings
at
and
one
we're three
time?
tonight, so we are really working tonight. Anywho, mayor's budget engagement form for FY25 is the engagement forms will be this week, ending on Wednesday. So we encourage you. I posted it on all the listservs, so go to like Cleveland Park listserv and you will get it. I'm not sure if there's a Woodley Park listserv. Is there a Woodley Park listserv?
No.
Okay. Well, anyway, the information is on there. If you have any questions, you can ask me. My name is Matthew Barclay. I'm the Ward 3 Mokers for the Mayor's Office of Community Relations and Services. I'll drop my information in the chat. Anything that I talk about today, you can ask me further questions or any other things as well. So budget engagement forums and Secure DC, we're encouraging everybody to reach out to their council members. And if you have any questions, you can ask me as well. So, the second vote is coming up. We could really use all your support. Those are the top two things. Also, there's a lot of DPR things happening. The applications for the DPR's Rec for All grants opened this February 15th, and they'll close. I'm actually not sure when they will close, but if you have any ideas for programming for the 27,000 youth of the district, please reach out to dpr.grants@dc.gov. Also, registration is now open and will close on Monday, February 26th for the DPR summer camp. So if you have a child, please go to that website and enroll your children. Also, OUC, the Office of Unified Command, has a junior academy and is now taking applications for its junior academy. It's a free 5-week program to familiarize yourself with career opportunities at OUC. And we need a lot of really great people for that. So please apply. And again, my name is Matthew Barclay. Matthew.barclay@dc.gov. 202-340-7853 is my number. Hope you have a great day. Thanks, y'all.
I put all of your stuff in the chat, including the link to the DC budget site.
We do love you, Matthew.
I know.
Thank you.
My favorite employee in the mayor's office.
Super. All right. And then I saw Lauren from Councilmember Fruman's office is here. If you had anything you'd like to
share. Yes, I do. First of all, save the date. We'll have Workday in the Ward on March 28th in Spring Valley at Compass Coffee. And that is an opportunity for anyone, constituents, commissioners to come by and talk to the council member. He's usually there in the morning from 8 to 10 for coffee. And then we have representatives from other agencies there throughout the day. So it's a great opportunity to talk to any of us in constituent services or the council member in the morning. And I know that various of you have definitely been at our last ones. We were in Woodley Park this month, last month. When was that? Last month. So that was great. Wanted to share with everybody that the STEER Act, which is the Strengthening Traffic Enforcement Education and Responsibility Act, was unanimously passed by the council on February 6th. That was co-introduced by Councilmember Fruman, and the bill changes the law to establish a fairer, more effective system of traffic enforcement that develops consequences for dangerous drivers and better protects all roadway users. As many of the inquiries we get from constituents in Ward 3 and in particular Woodley Park and Cleveland Park are around traffic safety, we think this to be a very important step forward. So we are excited about that. We will be either Councilmember Fruman or another one of us or will be at the upcoming MPD Community Walk on PSA 205. We were at the one this last week, as Chair Pagets referenced, and this one coming up on February 21st. So I guess that's tomorrow, is starting from 4850 Massachusetts Avenue at 5 p.m. If anyone is interested in going, it's a great opportunity to just engage one-on-one with officers. Usually the captain is there, and sometimes the commander has shown up as well. So it's just great to ask all your questions, and there's pretty good transparency and candor there. So it's a nice time for constituents. The council member supports the district's recent commitment to add up to $200 million above the city's FY24 operating subsidy to help close WMATA's budget deficit. And this will help to prevent the proposed cuts to critical bus routes in Ward 3, which we've had a lot of advocacy around from constituents. And then just one last thing I want to mention, because it is, again, a very common inquiry we receive from constituents, is around the Wilson Pool. The last update we had is unfortunately several months old, and we met with the chief of staff and others from DGS just last week and underscored how communication of anything, any progress, is really, really important and helps us underscore to constituents that work and progress is being made. They say that a progress update is imminent, so we will, of course, share that as soon as we have it. Right now, the council member does plan to pursue questions in his performance oversight for DGS and DPR related to transparency and communication around any and all maintenance issues, but specifically as it pertains to Wilson Pool as kind of a case study of what has not been great, because a lot of constituents are left in the dark, as are we. So that is something that he is paying close attention to this week and next with oversight hearings. I think that's about it. Happy to answer any questions if they come up. I will be staying on for the rest of the meeting.
Great, thank you. All right, do commissioners have any questions for the council member's office at this time? And I feel like I've been seeing the council member and his team everywhere these days, including a few days in a row. So
we are trying. There's a lot of great stuff happening, and as the council member says, this used to just be the stuff that he did on his own, and now it gets to be part of his job. So he loves being out there and participating in all these activities, and so do we.
Great. Thank you. And thank you for all your help in the work that y'all are doing. All right. I don't see any agencies here. And unless there are people I don't know. Any organizations, community organizations wish to make an announcement at this time? All right. Seeing and hearing none, we will then move on to community forum, where members of the public are invited to ask questions and raise concerns about issues that are not otherwise on this agenda. We ask that you be respectful and limit your time to 1 to 2 minutes. So anyone in the community wish to have anything they would like to bring up right now, you can use the little reactions button at the bottom to raise your hand. You can turn your video on and wave your hands, although probably not see better. And actually before that, Robert, I saw you just popped up and off of mute. Did you have an announcement to make as a community organization?
I did. Sorry, I didn't realize I'd taken off the mute, but I was just typing you a message. I thought John would promote the Meet Your Neighbor event on the 28th at Flavature, but I can definitely recommend that everyone come to that. I'll leave my remarks at that. Thanks.
Great. Thank you. All right, community members. I'm going to ask my fellow commissioners to help if they see anybody with video on, raising hand.
I don't see anyone, Chair Packets.
And I don't see any hands up in the reactions tab. All right, last call. Seeing none, we will now move on to commission business. And our first item under commission business is a letter regarding B25-0345, bill in front of the council on the Accountability and Victim Protection Amendment Act of 2023, now known as Secure DC Omnibus Amendment Act of 2024. So I will turn this over to Commissioners Nash and Prinzo to, if you want to read the letter, you can do that, or you can summarize the letter. I prefer that you don't do both in the interest of time. And then make the motion. And Commissioner Siddiqui has put the link to the resolution letter. It's a letter into the chat so everybody can view along and appreciate that.
All right. Well, if it's okay with you, Commissioner Nash, I'll summarize it briefly.
Absolutely.
Okay, so as Commissioner Nash said earlier, during the Public Safety Committee, we had a very lively discussion about the Secure DC Omnibus Bill. We have drafted this letter, and I would also like to thank members of the Public Safety Committee, Commissioner Nash, Commissioner Paggets, Commissioner Siddiqui, for all of their assistance in drafting this letter. The letter, quite simply, is just that we are in support of some of the provisions in the Secure DC Omnibus Bill. There is a second part of the letter where we also ask council to look at some proactive measures for crime in the District of Columbia, because if we are only in a reactive state, then we'll never get off this hamster wheel. So we asked them to at a different time and in different legislation, but sooner rather than later, to look at some proactive measures. And with that, I will move it.
Second.
All right, thank you. All right, so I just want to go over how this is going to go, a little rules refresh on this. So the motion's been made and seconded to move the letter in the format or with what it says now. We're going to open it up for commissioner discussion, and any commissioner can offer amendments to that, to this motion or to this motion. You state your amendment, need a second, open it up for commissioner discussion on that amendment, and then vote on the amendment. We'll then open it up to public discussion and comments, and then we will turn it back over to commissioner discussion if there are any other amendments, and follow that same procedure of stating the amendment. You need a second discussion and then a vote on the amendment, and then we will eventually call the question and then vote on anything that's been amended in the full motion. Anybody have any questions? All right. Let's get started with commissioner discussion then.
Commissioner Siddiqui.
I just want to state, and I know Commissioner Nash also stated this, but like I just want to really thank Commissioner Prinzo for everything he's done for the community and in getting this letter through. It's there's efforts happening in the background that not everyone can see. It's scheduling the meeting, handling the meeting, getting it on the website, all that stuff he handled. And then he also, I think, did an incredibly good job in taking multiple different viewpoints and distilling them in this letter. So Commissioner Prinzo, really thank you for your leadership on this. I think this is like a really good example of getting community engagement and then putting something through that most of us were okay with. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
I second that. All right, any other commissioners? Discussion or offering of amendment? All right, seeing none, we will move right along to open this up to public comment. So if any member of the public wishes to speak on this particular letter, now you can use the reactions button or come on video and raise your hand. I'm not seeing any. Oh, maybe I just did. Okay.
Sorry, Ms. Helpton.
Go ahead.
Hi, sorry, did you call me, Robin?
Yes.
I just want to say thank you to all. I really appreciate the support you're offering on this bill. And can I say I really appreciate the extra language about dog napping and pet napping. Hadn't thought of that myself, but I'm really glad to see it. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Commissioner Prinzo.
That just made my day.
Yay. Any other comments from the public? All right, I'll move it back to then. Seeing none. Commissioners. Anything else? Further discussion? Commissioner Nash.
Yeah, I would again just like to thank Commissioner Prinzo and the members of the committee for their comments. I mean, what this letter does is it's a clear statement of support for the Security DC Act, which has been the bill that Councilmember Pinto has moved forward, that is an amalgamation of different proposals of the mayor and other council members. You know, like any political process, there are puts and takes. But we think in general, this is an important step forward to address crime. And the committee also took time to address some of the amendments to the bill, as well as to look beyond this immediate legislation and ask the council to focus on some medium-term issues, more holistic issues that are also important. So I think I'm pleased to see the ANC take this measure, and we hope the legislation passes in early March.
Great, thank you. And I believe the second vote is scheduled for the legislative meeting on March 5th, if that's the first Tuesday of the month.
I think you're correct.
Yeah, March 5th. So great, thank you. So
I think
we can move straight to a vote because it doesn't look like there's any more discussion or contention to end discussion. So with that, we're going to move to a vote on this letter as was moved and not amended. So all those in favor of this letter regarding the Secure DC Omnibus Amendment Act of 2024. Please raise your hand or say aye. I'm seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hands up in favor. All those opposed, raise your hand or say no. I see 1, and there's no abstentions. Then, so the motion passes 7 to 1 to 0. And thank you again, Commissioner Prinzo. I like that. I believe it was Commissioner Nash that tried to promote you to a council member there for a second. It's sincerely thank you, and thanks to the committee members who also helped with their inputs and discussion on this. Appreciate it very, very much. All right. Moving on to a resolution the resolution in support of HPRB concept approval for 3408 Rodman Street, HPA application 24-160 concept rear addition. Commissioner Nash.
Thanks very much. This resolution was originally on the consent calendar, but as discussed at the beginning of the meeting, we've moved it to regular business. To start discussion, I'm going to then move the resolution and ask for a second. This resolution is currently on the agenda under consent calendar. This is with respect to an application for a rear addition at 3408 Rodman Street Northwest. And I would be happy to put a link to the resolution in the chat, but again, you'll find it under the consent calendar.
Sorry to interrupt. Commissioner Siddiqui just linked it in the chat.
Terrific. Thanks, Swai. And the reason we're moving it to regular business is at least 2 members of the public wish to speak to it. We have with us the applicant, who is Danielle Fisher of 3408 Rodman. And then there is another member of the community who also wishes to speak to that. So let me just say before we start, the resolution notes that the house 3408 Rodman was built in 1915. It's a contributing structure in the historic district, that the proposal reflects no changes to the existing house's front elevation on Rodman Street, that the plans will be subordinate to the existing house, which is a contributing structure, namely that the sides of the existing house, that the addition steps in from that and the addition's hipped roof is stepped down, that the applicant plans to remove an enclosed sleeping porch and a rear dormer to build the addition, and that the applicant as well plans to build the addition on piers so as to protect the tree canopy in the rear yard. In the file at HPRB are letters from the immediate adjacent neighbors to the east, west, and south, that is rear of the property. And then I understand as well that neighbors across the street on Rodman are also supportive or have voiced, say that they have no objection. The Architectural Review Committee.
Okay. Sorry, Commissioner Nash. This is longer than the whole rest of the meeting. So,
okay. In any event, it's been reviewed by the ARC as well as HPO staff. So with that, I would call on Danielle Fisher.
Well, hold on.
You have to move it.
You got to move it.
Second. I've moved it. Is there a second?
Thank you. All right. I mean, do any commissioners have questions as of right now? And then we'll let the applicant speak for a minute or two.
I would like to speak after the applicant speaks.
Okay, great.
Me too.
Okay, thank you. And go ahead.
Hi, thanks for your time. I'm Danielle Fisher. I'm the homeowner at 3408 Rodman Street. I have my 2 sons who were curious about this whole process. I don't know for how much longer, but they asked to watch. So we moved into the house in 2008. So we've been there this summer will be 16 years. We moved in, it's a fairly small house. When we moved in, we thought it was the biggest house that we had. And then we had two sons who continued to grow. We had a small addition. Yeah, they grew faster than we anticipated. So we did a small kind of fill-in addition in 2017, which added, I think, 75 square feet to the house. I guess I embarrassed him. I don't know. So that was just enclosing kind of the back of the house. It was this weird kind of W shape where we had this long hallway, skinny hallway to a bathroom, and then the house cut back. So that was approved through the Historic Preservation Office in 2017. And because it was so minimal, they didn't require us to go through the ARC and the whole process. It's all new to me. I apologize. Our architect is in Australia, so he's 17 hours ahead and on vacation. I don't want to bother him on vacation, but he had submitted the plans along with the letters of support that are all in the file. I would say when we love the neighborhood. Our kids are in DC public schools, very involved with their schools. So as we were watching them grow, I think all families say, is this, can we stay in this house or do we have to move, to the suburbs or someplace like that? But I think my husband and I both were very supportive of staying in the house. We love the neighborhood, love the schools, love the community, and see it as a house that we will continue to grow in and stay here long after our children leave. As Rick said, we aren't digging down in the basement. We have this beautiful hemlock tree in the backyard that makes it seem like almost a tree house upstairs. So we're putting that addition on piers and protecting that tree so that stays, because that's one of the cherished aspects of that house that we enjoy. So with that, I mean, we looked for an architect who had done similar additions on the street, and we found Mike Rouse, who's worked for firms that have done work in Cleveland Park and along Rodman Street. And so that's it. We love the neighborhood. We want to stay. And I think that this will make it easier to stay with two large children who continue to grow. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Siddiqui.
Thank you so much for coming to the meeting, and thank you both as well. I want to thank your sons for coming to the meeting, to getting public engaged. I mean, we're advisory neighborhood commissioners, so we're for the neighbors, we're for people, our neighbors staying here. I really appreciate your designs. They're incredibly reasonable. I think that, as you can see with letters of support, they're all very good. So I just want to thank you, and thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your story. We hope you stay in the neighborhood, and I'm sorry that this is a longer process than it needs to be. Maybe one thing your sons can do is, as they grow up, they can engage more and make it more efficient. But today, I really thank you for being here. And I'll definitely be supporting this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other commissioners? Okay, seeing none. Commissioner Nash, who was the member of the public?
I believe Lenise Jorgensen is here and wishes to speak.
Okay.
Good evening. Good evening. I'm actually speaking on behalf of my entire family of three adults. So it's not just one member of the public, it's really three, just to correct what Rick had said earlier. But thank you all for your time. I know you have a lot to do, so I won't take too much of it. We absolutely love the Fisher McIntyre family. We have loved having them here. We love watching their sons play in the alley, and we speak to them almost every day when they're out there playing. So, but I really am here primarily to address the need that we all have to urge everyone to, what we're talking about here is whether this renovation and whether this addition complies with the guidelines, not whether, a growing family requires it, not whether people support it because they like the family. That is not in dispute. We all love this family. So I think that what I'd like to just sort of refocus everybody on is our need to think about the historical preservation aspects of this renovation. And hello, Danielle and Rhett and Carl. I compliment you on your choice of architects. He's created a very attractive, creative, and thoughtful choice of materials. But I'd like you and him and the public bodies to really just think a little bit more about reducing the massing of this property. And we all need to reconnect thoughtfully with these guidelines, all of us. The points that I would like to just remind people of, I don't think have come up in any other forum or any other place. And that is that the guidelines require that one particular house next door to one particular house isn't controlling. It's really how the particular addition fits into the context of the neighborhood and its character. And it's the visual relationships to the entire environment, the setting in relation to its neighbors, that really needs to be taken a look at. And I actually was kind of curious about the first smaller edition from 2017. Unless my math is really screwy, and I'm not an expert, I think it added actually 164 plus square feet to the house, not 75, but that's not really the point I wanted to make. The point I really wanted to make is that I don't think you can layer addition on addition when you try to say that the house is a third or 30% or something, that the addition is that much of the house. Pardon?
I'm sorry to interrupt, but you're speaking to zoning issues where this is
no, I actually am not. I'm speaking
conservation application. So we're going to ask.
I understand, and I'm actually not talking about that. I'm talking about massing, which is in fact a historic preservation issue. And if you go look at the guidelines, that is mentioned. And if you consider the relationship between all of the additions and this addition, and you look at the original footprint of the original house, which is actually a historic preservation issue, this addition with the other addition adds 50% to the original house. So what I don't think that that's how you're supposed to do it in terms of how you calculate it. And I also wanted to point out that the garage itself was a 2-car garage, and that was not considered in the conversation about whether this created massing and an out-of-scale addition. The zoning report calls it a 1-car, which I think is misleading and something
that again, you're going into zoning. We need to
No, I'm saying that is it a 2-car garage or is it a 1-car garage? Because it contributes to zoning. Yes, but that's not what we're talking about. I agree. What we're talking about is massing, and we're talking about whether this addition will make this entire property in the context of its entire street, its entire neighborhood, its entire immediate setting, not just the house next to it, whether that contributes to the massing. Because it was not presented on the plans, it was left out of all of the conversations. So one of the other requirements of the guidelines, and I'm not going to go into all of the citations, but that the new addition needs to be easy to distinguish. It needs to be different from the original, and it could not be removed without harming the original building. And I don't think that's the case. I think when you look at this addition, if you were to take it down, it would harm the original building. And that is one of the things that the guidelines require. It also cautions against things that have rear and side wraparounds, that they defeat too much of the original features and form. My primary concern is that of the massing. I think if we don't keep that in mind, we will wind up with properties all around us that are far too large. I do compliment the architect for trying very hard to stay within the guidelines. I think there's a little more work that could be done in that regard. Not a lot. I mean, it's a very beautiful property. It's a very beautiful renovation. He's used wonderful materials. I would just request that the ANC urge a little more work to be done to pull in the scale, tuck in the mass, and to make this a smaller addition. And he seems very good at what he does, so I'm sure he can find a way. So that's all I'd like to say today. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Siddiqui.
Commissioner Prinzo went first.
Oh, sorry, Commissioner Prinzo.
That's fine. I just have one question and then a comment for Danielle. This is an entirely in the rear addition.
Yes, correct. You can't see it from the street at all.
Okay, so then my one comment, I don't really care what goes on in the back of someone's home. I don't really care if you can tell if it's an addition or not, because the truth of the matter is, unless Danielle invites me over to her house, which I don't really think is going to happen in the near time, I can't see it. So this should have been kept on consent. That's my 2 cents.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Stuckey.
I mean, experts on historic preservation, including the Historic Preservation Office, all the community letters, everyone's been in support of this. Just want to remind everyone, communities, we're Advisory Neighborhood Commission. Communities are made of people. They're not made of buildings. And so if we're not going to keep our people, we're not going to be a community anymore. So yeah, no, I'll say that.
I have a response to that. And that is,
no, I'm sorry.
No, you're done.
The back and forth thing right now. Commissioner Nash, did you have anything else to add?
Yeah, I would just say, with all respect to the comments, I think the reason why the garage is not included in the massing is it's not part of the house. It's a original sort of metal frame garage that, you know, goes back many decades, and so it's not really considered as part of the analysis. It's not part of the house, not part of the addition.
And I would say that did come up during the ARC. There was a question about whether or not we were doing something with the garage. Believe me, John and I hate the garage, but as the price for this addition continues to go up and up and up, I think that's a phase 2, and we would make it smaller, consistent with the neighbors, the house next to ours and the house next to ours. But it's definitely on our project list, just not for this project.
And again, that's in the back of the house,
yes.
Right? Okay. So historic preservation guidelines in historic districts really only cover the front end, like the stuff you can see from the street or the side.
Yeah, they're more flexible, and this is a rear addition that it's tucked in. It's not wraparound. And then just finally, I would note the HPRB, I believe, is going to take this up this Thursday. So there's an opportunity for Ms. Jorgensen and anyone else to.
they actually are not. They've decided they're not. They're not taking it up. They don't have a quorum. They're sending it back. They said they have some changes. I heard from Todd a few moments ago.
Okay.
So
they have changes or they don't have a quorum?
well, he said they don't have a quorum, and he also said they had some changes. And he also said that Danielle and her family were going to be presenting again at the ARC and again at the ANC. So I'm a little confused once I got that, because I thought they were going to address it this week. So they may be, Danielle, are you contemplating further changes?
Okay. Whoa.
Well, yeah, we're not, this isn't a meeting of like back and forth. That's a separate issue.
So, well,
if there are no more comments or questions, I'd like to move the question.
Second.
Second.
All right. So with that, we will vote on the resolution in support of the this HPRB application for 3408 Rodman Street, Northwest, the concept rear addition. So all those in favor, raise your hand or say aye. All right, seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hands. There are no nays and no abstentions. The resolution passes 8-0 to 0. Thank you, and thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good luck at HPRB. But I'll transmit the resolution tomorrow so that you'll have it and they'll have it.
Many thanks.
Great, thank you. All right, moving on to the next item. It's treasurer's report time. Commissioner Siddiqui.
Nothing to report other than our security fund documents are finally complete. So I'll be hopefully sending the check and the documents soon. And then I guess the not to exceed thing, Commissioner Gordon, I'll transfer over to you, or Commissioner Packets, whichever one of you wants to do it.
I will admit to being a newbie in this process. So I tell me if I'm treading in territory that I don't need to be, Janelle. So basically what I wanted to bring up is we're looking to throw like a party on the promenade for a kind of grand opening of the promenade and all the construction work being finished, as like a thank you to all the workers that worked on it, as a welcome for all of the neighbors. So we're looking at doing that on April 6th. And my question to the ANC, my fellow ANCs, was whether or not the ANC could make a contribution to that. And I'm looking at like whether we could spend, you know, not a wild amount of money, but like a couple $100 to kind of contribute to like entertainment, if that was like face painting or a band or, you know, something like that. I'm just not positive of the process in like how to move that forward.
Okay. So what we've done in the past, which I still need to spend the allowable funds on for swag that promotes the ANC, like tablecloths and stuff, and postcards, whatever, was we have voted on, I believe it was $300 as not to exceed $300, and then whatever we're able to get for that $300 in that swag category.
Yeah.
Is in our budget under expense. So we've approved, in our budget, we approved, was it $12,000 of expense money? Okay.
Do you want me to look, do we need to look it up?
Well, I don't think Tammy's going to take all 12,000 at
No,
this point in time.
I was thinking somewhere like $300, $400, $500 if I can get that.
Yeah. So, yes.
I think, if I can say, I think 12,000 is.
Sorry, we can't spend it on food and we can't spend it on beverage. So things like you mentioned chalk art, chalk artist, I don't know, we can maybe do water bottles, but we can't do the water in the bottle.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I was thinking also
like that promote the ANC too, but it gets back to everybody in the community can participate and take part. So okay, cool.
So do I need to move forward an amount or a resolution for us to vote on tonight?
You can verbally move an amount.
I would like to verbally move.
Sorry, Commissioner Kripke, did you have a comment before we?
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt the flow. I wanted to say that I think 12,000 was the budgeted amount for grants, and this could fit under the grants budget, depending on what we.
If a grant has to, if you're budgeting, I'm sorry, a grant has to be a grant application. We can't.
I'm sorry, I'm not saying that. I'm talking about the budget. There was a budgeted amount.
You have to move the budget out of the grants category, if that makes sense.
But we do have an expense budget. This would be an expense, which we're allowed to cover promotional items like this. The grant thing would require an application and an applicant. In this case, the ANC is acting as on our own behalf as the party being the folks
requesting
and promoting the Advisory Neighborhood Commission within the community at a large event. Hopefully a large event.
Yeah. So I guess I would like to request a not to exceed of $500 to develop that for this event, and make sure that it is compliant with all of those rules. But I just need to know sort of what budget range I have. So that's kind of why I wanted to bring it up tonight.
I would second.
Okay. And then we can iron out the details of what the $500 is. Okay. Great.
I'll bring your proposal.
Great. Any other discussion among commissioners to approve or not this $500 not to exceed for the Cleveland Park Promenade celebration? All right, seeing none. All those in favor of approving an NT expense of $500 for the Cleveland Park Day Fund, raise your hand or say aye. I'm seeing all 8 hands again are up, so there are no nays and no abstention. Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. With that, do we have anybody making our favorite motion?
I'm welcome to adjourn this meeting.
Is there? All those in favor of adjourning the February 2024 meeting of ANC3C, please raise your hand or say aye. All right. That's a majority. Have a good evening, and thank you all for joining us.
Thanks all.
Thank
Bye.
you.